Hi, it's Alaska Granny. Do you ever wonder, will grocery prices ever go down? Will they ever stop rising at astronomical prices and increases at inflation rates that are unheard of? If we look back at what are the rising prices, the rates of inflation since say 2020, even if inflation rates drop, prices are still going up. Look back at the beginning of 2020 until 2023. The actual prices increased 19% during that period. By comparison, from February 2020 to November 2025, prices on groceries increased 25%. That is a lot of money that people may not have in their budgets. Most people's incomes did not go up that fast. Plus, the price of groceries isn't the only thing that rose at an astronomical rate of inflation. Just look at housing, utilities. There's so many things that we need on a day-to-day basis, and those rates have climbed dramatically, which overall means that most of us have less money now to buy the things that we consider necessities, let alone have some of the wants and the specialty items, the little treats that we deserve occasionally. Not all the time, but occasionally. Even if inflation rates go down, prices still keep going up because as inflation goes to even 2%, prices are still going up. You would have to have deflation for prices to actually go back down. So we don't ever hear about prices going down due to deflation. Sometimes grocery stores will put some items that are common things that people need at a lower price, and a lot of times they even call those loss leaders. They will sell a few basic items at a loss to get you in the store because then you pile your cart with all kinds of other things that maybe weren't on your list, little splurges and things to spoil ourselves and treats. And that's just sort of how it works. If you make a list, sometimes you have to stick to it, and that can be very hard, especially if you take family members into the store. Things are just appealing, and we like what we like, and we have to then tell ourselves, not now. Not necessarily no, but not now. I made a list of what are the prices here in Alaska at my Walmart recently, and I thought I would share those prices with you and see how those prices compare to what the prices are in your area. I did some fresh produce items, some canned items, some dried foods, and even some meat. Let's look at how those prices and let us know how do they compare to what the prices are where you are. Bananas, 92 cents a pound. Apples, $1.82 a pound. Onions, $1.37 a pound. Russet potatoes, 68 cents a pound. Those are just common, ordinary produce items that we might want to have in our cart. There's way more things that we'd like to get in the produce department, and they can vary to a wide degree according to what is your taste, what's locally available, what's in season. But let's just stick with just the basic foods for now, that most of us, no matter what our budget, can afford some of the basic foods. A can of pinto beans, $1.14. A can of chicken broth, $1. A can of fruit, and there was all kinds of fruit, from fruit cocktail, peaches, pears, all kinds of fruit, $2.08. A can of tomato sauce was 62 cents. A 16-ounce jar of the Walmart brand Great Value peanut butter was $1.98. Now those are foods we might want to have in our pantry because we can have them around to last for a while, but if we need food in a hurry or something to eat, make a meal, be creative, we can pull some of those foods out of our pantry and turn them into a meal or a snack of some kind. Especially if you can't get fresh produce, having cans of fruit on hand can really save the day. If you're looking at canned foods and you're concerned about their nutritional value, canned foods are just as nutritious as fresh produce because they are picked at their peak and they are usually processed within a few hours, and it preserves the quality of those foods. If you're concerned with sugar, don't buy fruit with heavy syrup. Look for fruit that's canned either in water or in its own juice. If you're concerned with sodium, look for low salt or no salt added varieties. That can help make the food that you store more nutritious for you. Now let's look at some of the dried foods that we might want to have in our pantry. 2 pounds of white rice, $2.30. 16-ounce package of spaghetti, $1.23. 18 ounces of corn flakes, $2.68. 16 ounces of Raisin Bran, $2.96. Here's the fun one, 8 ounces of Fruit Loops, $4.78. Now I find that remarkable because it's still expensive. Recently I was in Hawaii with my daughter's family, and my little granddaughter and I were at the store, and she pointed at a box of Fruit Loops and she said, "I want that." And I said, "No, it was like $11 or $12. You don't eat them at home when they're $3 a box," which it turns out Granny didn't really know because they're $4.78. The point is, she doesn't want them when they're at home. There's no way I'm buying them when we're in Hawaii and it's 3 times as expensive. And that's why it's hard to take family members to the store. The advertising, the bright colors, the cartoon characters are appealing to them, and so they're not thinking about, oh, I've tried that food before and I don't really like it. They're being drawn to the packaging. So be careful what the packaging looks like, and if we are even tricked ourselves into thinking, oh, that looks good, maybe I need that. If it was in a plain brown wrapper and it just said Fruit Loops, you probably wouldn't want it. If it just said chips, maybe you wouldn't want it. But when you see those bright colors and the package, you can see how they make them look perfect on the wrapper, and that makes us want them, but we don't need those kinds of food items. We can pass by those and then stock up on foods that actually are more nutritious, they're basic, and we can afford them. It's still okay to have some of those treats when you have the money for it, but if your grocery dollars are stretched to the limit, pass up on some of the treats and special desserts and the empty calories that we like to eat, but we don't necessarily ever need to eat. Let's look at the prices of meat. Just a few, because it's too shocking to spend much time in the meat department. 1 pound of ground beef, $6.99. Chicken thighs, $1.87 a pound. Ribeye steak, $25.47. The price of that ribeye could be your grocery budget for the entire week. It's hard to believe the price of meat has gone up so dramatically, and it has continued to do so. So sometimes we have to just tell ourselves no, even if it's our favorite food and it's nutritious or delicious, maybe we still can't afford it, and we need to look for ways to feed our family with basic foods that we can afford. And if you can put it in your budget, go ahead and get things that cost more. But make sure that you are budgeting so that you can afford the basic things that you must have to keep your family going. You need to be able to afford your rent or your mortgage, your utilities. You need to be able to keep gas in your car. You need food on the table, and you need to be able to pay your insurance so that if something goes wrong, you have that covered, whether it's your health, your cars, or your home. So it can be a struggle, but we can get through it. I don't know if prices will ever go down, but we can hope that they stop rising at such an astronomical rate. We've seen some progress that way on some items, but not all. And so it's all about making choices. Everybody has choices, and they can be very difficult. But we can get through this if we really try to think about what are the priorities in life that we want. We want to protect our family, keep ourselves full of food and happy, and have just the basics that we really need. If you're in debt, get out of debt, and then you need to try to save as much money as you can and put away some foods in your stockpile in your pantry, because obviously the price of food is almost never going down. So the foods that you choose to store and stockpile now are going to be foods that are going to probably cost more in the future. So the foods that you save today will be a bargain when you get them out of your pantry. You use, rotate, and replace them. Let us know, what's the most shocking price of foods that you've seen lately? I hope you'll like my video, share it, and please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.